رئيس الوزراء السابق للمملكة المتحدة.
Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our next session is a conversation titled Transforming Nations, Is Tech Our Solution? With His Excellency Edi Rama, Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, and Sir Tony Blair, 51st Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Right, hi everyone. Very good to be with you all at this World Government Summit. And I'm actually mainly today, which is unusual for me, I'm going to be doing the interviewing, actually asking the questions rather than answering them. But the context is very simple. We're living through this extraordinary technology revolution. And in my judgment, and the judgment of my institute, which now works in many different countries throughout the world, this technology revolution gives us the opportunity to do something that is not been conceived of for many, many years, and that is to reimagine the state itself. Because a 19th century state was a minimalist state. Didn't do a lot for people, didn't raise a lot of money, didn't spend a lot of money, didn't do a lot for people. The 20th century state grew into this huge apparatus, especially in developed nations, with large amounts of money spent, a large amount of provision from government, but today, often not operating in a very effective way. The question for this century is, can you reimagine the state through the technology revolution, create a 21st century state that delivers high quality services at much lower cost to their citizens? That's the challenge. There's no one better to discuss it with than my friend Prime Minister Edi Rama of Albania. Albania is a country that, you know, back in the 1980s and early 1990s was very much left behind by the world. Over these past years, it's made extraordinary leaps forward. Its GDP has risen enormously just over this last 10 years or so. And Edi, as Prime Minister, is focused very much on the technology revolution and what it can do for his country. And I actually just wanted to start, Edi, with an overall sort of macro question, which is, I mean, the title of our session is Tech the Solution? I mean, I would say, but tell me whether you agree or not, it's certainly a very major part of it. How big is this technology revolution, and how hard is it for political leaders to keep up with it?
First of all, I want to correct a bit the presentator, because I was presented as a Prime Minister and Tony was presented as the 51st Prime Minister of Britain, but I want the audience to know that I would not be nor Prime Minister and either a man engaged in politics without him. And before knowing him, he was my role model, and he was the inspiration to enter politics, to reform the Socialist Party, and to believe that not only politics can be a force for good, but it can be a third way for the left. So I wanted this to be clear because that's how you will all understand that I can't be more privileged than finding myself being interviewed by someone that now is a friend and is an honor, but is the main reason why I became a Prime Minister. And I would say that we came out from a long time in darkness. We were the North Korea of Europe. We were completely cut off the world. We were told to be the only true communist country. And for us, all of them that pretended to be communists were just traitors. So we were completely on our own in a poverty that for me today is even impossible to process how it was possible, and an isolation like no one. And of course, we entered in the new era of change, of building a democratic state, of building institutions. But what we learned in the hard way is that you can change a system in some days, but you cannot build institution in many years. And so the institution building process in the traditional way would have taken, I don't know how many decades, if not centuries. With technology, you can make a jump in the future that it's really something that until the current events of innovation would be unimaginable.
And generative AI is obviously, I mean, this is its own revolution, and you're trying now in Albania to take advantage of that. What are you doing? You're building a digital infrastructure. You've got plans for digital identity. I mean, tell us about the different elements of how you're bringing about this digital revolution to the country.
Listen, I don't know how many people in the audience are familiar, but I'm sure that everyone that has known something about Albania in the last 30 years have heard that it's a country that suffers from corruption, is a country that suffers from crime, is a country that suffers from all the bad things. And a big part of it has been true. A part of it has been kind of augmented by the international media. But when you have to build a modern state, when you have to build functioning institutions, you have to count on people, right? So in every process, you have to count on people. And counting on people is not enough. Because as the saying goes, it's not the people that corrupt the systems, it's the systems that corrupt the people. So you need to build systems that are then capable to keep the people on leash in terms of respecting procedures, respecting everyone's rights. And what technology does is that gets out of the picture the middleman and makes possible that the system of service to the people relates directly with the people. Let me give you an example. We changed completely the way we deal with our public services with papers. Until not many years ago, for every paper, for every certificate, for every license, for every type of document to prove things like you have never been convicted, or you have never been taken off your driving license, you had to stay in line, in long lines, in front of counters, in bad conditions, and then a lot of bad things happen even to cross the line and to get the paper before.
And all of that is digitized now?
All is digitized. We don't have any more counters. Everything is a direct interaction between the person that need a service and his smartphone or his computer. People said at that time this will kill practically the chances for the elderly, will kill the chances for the farmers to have access. On the contrary, this gave access to all of them that in the physical relation had no chance to go and stay in the line and take the bus to go from the village to the city and so on.
And I think the thing that's interesting is you can literally go through every single aspect of government and see how change can come about, right? You could do it in healthcare, you could do it in education, You can do it in the payments that are made to people. But you also have done it in terms of your move towards Europe and how you change the regulations in order to make Albania a good partner for that European path.
Yes, this is another example how technology can be the bless of countries that are behind, and how technology can make countries that are behind do things that without technology would have been impossible, and even overcome countries that are far ahead of them. To enter the European Union, technically, we need to transpose all the so-called body of law of the European Union. And just to give an idea to the audience, is about more than 4,000 laws and bylaws that need to be transferred. Traditionally, this has implied for countries before us an army of translators, an army of drafters, an army of certifiers, and as a minimum, in the case of Croatia that was very successful, 7 years.
So it took 7 years for Croatia.
7 years to do just this, the
right.
transfer of papers. It's mountains of papers. So luckily, one of the most prominent figures of OpenAI and ChatGPT is an Albanian lady. So I called her when ChatGPT just appeared, and I said, can you help Albania to enter faster in the European Union? She thought I was laughing. I said, no, listen, can we use this to make the transfer? She said, interesting, let's try. And our tests are telling us that we can do it as the technology is now developed in a bit more than 2 years. But seeing how the technology is improving every month, I'm sure that this time will shorten. So it's about to change that it's even impossible to get where can bring us in terms of fast arrivals in stations that otherwise would have needed generations and generations to arrive.
And in terms of the infrastructure that you require to make these changes, it is about having a cloud infrastructure, so your data are held in the cloud, and then the digital identity so that each citizen can interact with government through their smartphone.
So we are working with the two bigger, let's say, sources of knowledge and of technology of our time, Microsoft and Oracle. And we are trying to get the best of the one and the other. And having been attacked very viciously by Iran some time ago, and being in perpetuum a target of cyber attacks from Iran, we know, just not rationally only, but we know from our skin how important it is to have safe data. And going in an Oracle-designed cloud, it's another important reason to have the safety and the integrity of your data in a cloud that is designed for you, and is just Albania's cloud. So this is something that is developing a lot in the Oracle world. And in the meantime, with Microsoft, we are working in artificial intelligence solutions that we are very optimistic will give us an important boost to feel the future much nearer than today.
And how do you find your own system with this? Because part of anyone who's ever been in government knows that the problem is that government systems, can be somewhat resistant to change, let's say. And, you've got the potential, for example, in healthcare, you can have something similar to an AI doctor sitting alongside the real doctor. In education, it's possible now. There are fantastic innovations happening where you can effectively personalize education for young people. You know, when you, because you'll want to introduce all of these changes into Albania, how difficult is it to get your system to move?
I believe it's more difficult in Germany and Britain because these countries, the big countries, developed countries, have also very developed machines of bureaucracy that are made in other times and that are like very big ships you have to start and turn. Ours is just a little boat, and jumping from that boat and taking the new technology as a possibility is just a bless. So practically we don't have this. So of course we have resistance, but it's more the resistance of laziness sometimes in the bureaucracy, but otherwise we can do all these things because we don't have to remove mountains that are well settled there, but we have simply to run and to run and to run forward. So I don't see this as one of the main challenges.
Right. So if you take this idea that it's possible through technology to, people always talk about is the leapfrog potential. In other words, you take a country at a lesser stage of development, but they can pass a developed country by the utilization of technology. But to do that, just so that we're clear about it, because these are the changes that you've made in Albania, you're putting in place the digital infrastructure, then you'll put in place the applications on top of that, and you'll have the ability for the citizen to interact direct with government across services. I mean, this affects also every part of your economy, agriculture, for example.
Yes, what you mentioned about the teachers and the doctors is another part of the blessing, because it means that countries like Albania will be able through technology to participate in a space of the best know-how of the world. So this also addresses the problem countries like ours, but also other countries in Europe, are having with staff, with teachers that are ready to go in another place to teach, or with doctors that are ready to stay for a wage that is not enough. So all the southern European Union is suffering from doctors leaving and going elsewhere. So this is another part of the blessing, the capacity to get the best know-how through technology. And look at this city. This city is one of the most secure in the world. But it's one of the most secure in the world not because there is an amount of policemen that is bigger than in other cities in the world. On the contrary, I have been in the Emirates now a half a dozen of times. I still don't know how a policeman looks in this country, because it's the technology. And state-of-the-art technology has made this country one of the countries with the lowest crime rate in the world. So through technology, through this new technology, we can solve problems of criminality, we can solve problems of corruption. And we can give to societies and to countries that for historical reasons, for many other reasons, are behind in terms of institutional network of a state, the possibility to overcome this very, very long way of falling behind and to proudly serve their citizens.
So we're just coming to the last minute, and as you say, I mean, the UAE is one of, I would say, 4 or 5 exemplar countries in the world in terms of its use of technology. So when you look ahead, and Albania, over this last 20 years, I think your GDP has multiplied by roughly 8 times. So it's a country that's been accelerating. Where ideally would you like it to be in 5 years' time? with the use of technology?
Ideally, I would want Albania to be, in 5 years' time, a country that behaves and works like an EU member state. And then will be or not formally in the European Union, this is not our decision. But as we are ending, and you know better than many other people that inviting a Balkan guy to have a conversation and pretending to have a short conversation is a mission impossible, but still you are doing well. So I want to say one thing at the end, which has to do with technology, but also not. So we were talking about, also before here, where this technology will go and what will. But one thing I'm not sure the technology will ever be able to bring at home, which is the sun, the beautiful beaches, the beautiful valleys, the wonderful mountains, the great rivers, the fantastic lakes, and the very hospitable people of Albania. So I want to tell everyone here, come to Albania, and in that environment, you will have even better thoughts about how technology can complement the bless of God for a country that has been very much cursed by its history.
Well, Eddie, you spoke of your admiration for me. You're one of the leaders I admire most in the world today. Thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on what you're achieving and what you're going to achieve in the future. And thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you.
الحضور الكريم، كانت هذه آخر جلسة رئيسية لهذا اليوم. نشكركم على حضوركم القمة العالمية للحكومات 2024. سيتجدد لقاؤنا معكم غدا عند الساعة 9 صباحا.
Distinguished guests, this was the last plenary session for today. We thank you for your attendance and look forward to welcoming you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the third day of the World Government Summit 2024.